really one of those guys you're going to talk about as a Norris candidate for the next 6-7 years.
He'll win it if they win the Atlantic.
There you go. And think about that. And, that's how strongly I feel. They need a lot of things to fall into place, but I really, really like the trajectory of this team. And I like the makeup, and I like the depth up front. And I think they've done a good job of integrating the Claude Giroux and the Lars Ellers that they brought in this year. Like, they have a mix of veterans, and they have a bunch of great up-and-coming young players, and it's going to be exciting in Ottawa, I think.
Well, there's no question that you know exactly how you feel about the Ottawa Senators. Can you tell me exactly how you feel about the Vancouver Canucks?
Listen, it's a cup half full or a cup half empty. Can we all agree that everything that could go wrong in Vancouver went wrong last year?
Yes,
Can we all agree
absolutely. It was
Petey with 45 points?
the longest burning tire fire in Canadian history.
It's almost like unheard of that guy would end up playing a season with under 50 points.
So we all agree it was horrible?
Yes.
And they finished 6 points out of the playoffs.
Right.
They finished with 90 points, 6 points out of the playoffs with everything going wrong. Only 5 times in the first 41 games of the season. So 5 times in the first half of the season did they have Demko, Pettersson, Hughes, and Miller all in the lineup together. And I understand the fights between Pettersson and Miller, and that whole thing was a whole nother issue on top of that. But my point being, they weren't healthy. They underperformed. It was a disaster, and they still came up with 90 points. So if Pettersson can go back to being Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, I don't think we have any doubts about him. Demko needs to stay healthy. I think there's some optimism to be had there. But again, we're asking for things to get back on track, and there's never guarantees in the NHL. So I love that team, though. I think it's still, can show who they really are. And I think this is going to be one of those years. Adam Foote has his work cut out for him. But I think he's that player's coach. In spending a little time with Vancouver, the guys seem to just embrace his style of coaching. And I think that was a big reason why they, elevated him from assistant coach to head coach. He's been basically a mentor to Quinn Hughes. There's great relationship there. And I think that's going to count for something on the bench. And if Demko, again, can go back to being the healthy Vezina caliber Demko, it changes everything for the Vancouver Canucks this year.
Well, it's crazy. Last year we had 5 Canadian teams in the playoffs. Vancouver and Calgary missed. Calgary actually tied for the last playoff spot, lost on a tiebreak. Canucks were just 6 points out. We going to get more than 5 this year? Can we 6, 7 DA? Have we ever done 7?
We've never had 7. That's unprecedented. I'm not sure we're going to get more than 5. It's also hard, right? You have 3 of them in the same division in the Atlantic. You have 3 of them in the same division in the Pacific. It's hard to get all those teams to matriculate through when you have, the Vegases and the Tampas and the Floridas, et cetera, in those divisions. But, I think 5 is a very realistic number. Which 5 it will be is yet to be determined. We talked a little bit about Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal. They're all in the mix, but, time will tell.
David, let's just go a little south of the border here and just talk about a few storylines that you're looking forward to. We watched Chicago play Florida, the Stanley Cup champions, and it seemed like a pretty close game. I thought Spencer Knight looked good. Your thoughts on Bedard now going into his 3rd season, and do we have a better idea of what he is or what he could still become after this point in time? Or is it just too early for sure to say, yeah, this guy will be good, but how great he'll be isn't what we projected maybe 3 years ago?
I know there's some detractors. One thing I'll say is his heart is where it needs to be. Everyone I've talked to said all he worked on all summer was his skating, which was his big sort of part of his game that needed some work. He seems like he's dedicated clearly to being the best version of himself he can be. He just turned 20 years old. Like, we keep forgetting. He's been in the league 2 full years, but he's just stopped being a teenager. So, I think I have the utmost confidence in Connor Bedard, and I think he's going to be that prolific 50-goal guy. Is that going to happen this year with the group around him? Probably not, but I could definitely see him taking a step to 35 to 40 goals. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And Nazar being this good, young, unheralded player, he finally maybe has a running mate there in Chicago, someone he can work with a little bit, because it's been hard. He's been a little bit on an island, and I think we can all agree Kyle Davidson, hasn't done a great job in in insulating him. In a draft 2 years ago, when it could have been Demidov or could have been one of these other great offensive players, he kind of went with a more stay-at-home defenseman and Lev Shinov at the number 2 pick. And I do wonder 5 years from now how we're going to go back and view that 2024 draft where it was Celebrini and then a group of players, and Demidov looks like he's going to, move his way to Celebrini status. But I wonder if that will come back to bite Chicago or not. And it's too early to know all these things, but it just would have been nice for him to have gotten a bit more of a running mate, someone he can really play off of. And maybe Nazar will be that guy this year for Chicago. So it's too early, Kipper, but at the same time, I'm still buying Connor Bedard. Are you guys not feeling it as much as I am?
I am. No, I am too. I think he can get skating.
I totally believe that you nailed it, that he is very capable to hit that between 35 and 40 range, which
this year?
Yeah, this year. And on this team, like you said, for me, the disappointing part is they don't even have he doesn't even have anything close to what maybe San Jose has already.
You look at Eklund there and Will Smith and who's the other young guy they got there? You got
Celebrini.
Celebrini with them though. I mean, they've got another one there too. I'm forgetting, but they
they got Michael Misa. They took second overall.
Yeah,
and he's gonna make his debut, I believe, tomorrow night. I think they're playing Seattle or someone. But this is the question. Chicago, you want to see them be a bit more aggressive, but I think when you have this player, what did he play? 172 games in junior or whatever, and scored 172 goals. And I know that's junior hockey. Kipper, you were a prolific goal scorer in North Bay. I get that, but we saw him at the World. Listen, we saw him at the World Juniors, right?
Yeah.
Like set records.
Yes.
And against the best players in his peer group. I'm not giving up on Connor Bedard at all, and I think anyone who is prematurely doing that. They got to get him some guys who can think the game the way he thinks the game. He's still a one-shot scorer. There's not many one-shot scorers there. Guys who don't need to be given a ton of time and space. They just need the puck on their stick in a spot they're comfortable in, and boom, it's in the net. He's one of those guys.
So, DA, one thing I give you a lot of credit for, and I give you credit for many things as a wonderful host, but one of the things is that you will make a real prediction, a bold prediction, whatever, and the Ottawa one is bold. Now, listen, you liked Columbus a couple of years ago. You put your money where your mouth is. You thought
I've given you a lot of money.
You thought Quinn Hughes would get 100 points. It was very close that year. You're pretty good at this stuff. So when these predictions come out, are there any others that we need to know about that people are going to go, really?
I've got a bold one coming out tonight on our show, and I will probably be laughed right off the set. So I'll leave it. That'll be
okay.
Appointment viewing.
Cliffhanger.
It's a bold one. I don't know. This is what I love about the NHL, though. There's 10 teams you can make an honest argument that they'll win the Stanley Cup, and you can make a smart argument for
and
probably
usually
10
make an
teams.
argument for the 11th one. That's usually your MO.
And I feel we're going into the season again with 7-8 teams legitimately who are saying we are expecting and wanting to win the Stanley Cup and making